Hi everyone, Jesse here with Canine Perspective, and we're back with another video. This one's going to be again about off-leash dogs, more so centered around just being direct and speaking up. Most of these clips, you'll see me or hear me approach the owner and say like no, not here, or we're training, things like that. And then there's a couple other kind of different styles of approaching things to give you again a broader range, but mainly it's just being direct. I understand that dog owners, they have these friendly dogs, and they go to the park and they see a dog, and they just kind of assume that they can just meet without even asking, and this makes it very frustrating for my clients, especially like if they're training and they step aside. Maybe their dog has dog reactivity, so they step aside to better prepare them for the potential reactivity moment. And then the other dog owners approaching them as if like they want their dogs to socialize because they think they stepped aside for them, and that's not the case. So on the first video we have here, we actually had two unsuspecting owners approach me with the client within like a 30 to 45 second time frame. And you'll see me address one owner who's behind the camera, and he walks around, and then shortly thereafter another dog owner walks up with her golden retriever, and you can see her just kind of smiling, and she sees, Pablo, who's one of our daycare dogs, who was starting his first training session, and she's just like, there's a cute dog. And Pablo is completely friendly, like he is dog sociable. He plays with all the dogs here, but that's not the case. The case is that, like, read the context. It's me, both his owners, and my camera man or / employee, plus Pablo. So there's, four of us, we're all talking, and this person just kind of invites themselves into the scenario just because they see one dog that looks friendly, okay? And I just tell people, just always ask, like, is your dog friendly? Can my dog say hi? As opposed to just assuming that everyone that has a dog wants to meet your dog, because that's not the case. In this case, of course, we're training, and I'm trying to teach them something. They paid for my time, and I want to make sure that they get what they came for. So that'll be these couple of clips here with Pablo. It's gonna be one long clip, so you'll see just how I approach it. I'm very direct, of course. Then amount of juice, and then not here, sir. And then you're good to go. Okay. Any questions about that? No. Alrighty. So what we're gonna do first, so you saw how to fit the collar. Did you see the one with perception level? I don't think so.
We watched like the beginning of it.
Okay. So we have three types of levels. One is contact level, perception level, and then working level. Okay. So this is of course a muscle stimulator, much like a tendon. So yeah, I know, but lots of distractions. Hi, we're training. First we want to get our connection level. Okay. What are we at on the remote? Clips. It's Gilmore, and Gilmore just had his third session this past weekend. And I told the owner she was 3 for 3 because every class that she's had so far, we've had an either off-leash dog encounter or someone coming up to us unsuspectingly with their dog. And in the first clip, I used this in the previous one, where we just kind of clear off to the side. I have her step out, and I follow her, and I turn around to put a buffer between her and that off-leash dog, because they were walking down the path. They were clearly going to walk straight through. Saying, hey, stop, don't walk, on the pathway in the park wouldn't have been correct. So instead we chose to remove ourselves and then let them pass, because that was the easiest approach at that moment. Okay, I just care that you put his butt down. Oh yeah, 2 off.
Is it really? Oh, well, that's started, right?
In the next clip, again, a lady with her, she had an Australian Shepherd. She was approaching from behind the camera. I saw her coming, and she was saying hi to every dog in the park. And I come up and stop her. I say, no, not here. She apologizes. She keeps going. No big deal. Is above or near, not here. You want to see it around the armpit area. Okay, if it's in our third clip here, this lady, so I'm talking to the dog owner, and I see her I think her spaniel was playing fetch, right? But she just kept walking and throwing, and she's not being mindful of her environment. So in the clip, and actually in the last clip that I showed, you'll see me point to the dog, and I'm pointing to Gilmore because Gilmore is muzzled, okay, because he is a dog and sometimes human reactive. So we have that muzzle on as precaution, and the reason why I do that isn't to like put him on the spot. I do this for the owner. I do this so that hopefully they leave with, oh man, I should have been a bit more aware of my environment. So they're walking around, just assuming and bringing their dogs everywhere. And in this case, she's throwing the ball, and her dog is about maybe 30 feet, to our left, or my left at that moment, and it starts to curve in. So I immediately intercept so that I can body block if needed. And I call the lady, and I just say, could you call your dog? I didn't say leash your dog. I said, you could just call your dog? And I point to Gilmore, and then she looks at Gilmore, and she sees that he's muzzled, and she goes, oh, I'm sorry. And she leashes up her spaniel. Then it's like calm dogs. Then it's excited puppy type energy. Can you call your dog, please? Thank you. So we have human reactivity. Then we have, okay. So just bringing it to her attention, I am very direct, but at the same time, I want that person to leave, ideally, learning, I should be maybe a bit more responsible, I should be a bit more perceptive, I should be more aware of the dogs that are around me, because because Gilmore has a muzzle and his dog reactive does not mean he can't go to the park and go for a walk and all those things. Those dogs can absolutely do those things. This is why the owner's doing training with me, so that she can enjoy more things with her dog, more activities. But we also have to be, as I'm aware for my clients and their dog within the training session, others, and their dogs also have to be aware, even if their dog is friendly, even if you're just playing fetch. Do watch where you're throwing that ball. I wouldn't throw the ball and then end it. I wouldn't want it going into somebody's barbecue, and the dog's running to the barbecue and then it's running up to everybody with their food and stuff like that. So, you always want to be aware of other dogs around you, because not every dog is going to be friendly. In our last session, which was just this weekend, it's very similar context. Lady had her 2 small dogs, and she was just throwing the ball every which way. The dogs were running all over the park as she was walking towards us. There was no even real clear direction. It was throw the ball that way and I keep walking, which I don't recommend unless your dog has solid recall or absolutely knows to follow you, because if you throw it that way and you're walking this way, you're now going to lose sight of your dog, and she's just assuming that her dog's going to come back. And maybe in the pursuit of the ball, the dog sees a rabbit and then starts to pursue the rabbit, but she does not know, because she's expecting my dog's going to return with the ball no matter what. But there are other things at that park that may take your dog's interest and then detract them away from you. So it's the same thing. I see the dog, you see me kind of maneuvering Gilmore a bit. I'm not too worried about him because we do have plenty of space. I believe there's about 50 feet of distance here, but you'll see her dog cut into the frame and is about 15 feet away from us. And I do the same thing. I call her, I'm like, hello, and then I wave and I point to the dog, Gilmore, so she can see that he's muzzled, and she goes, oh, and then she calls her dog, and she then also leashes up her dog. Okay. We have a couple of dogs here. Wait a second. Hi. Call your dog, please.
We got dog training. We got soccer training.
Thank you. So I don't believe I told her to leash up her dog. She just saw Gilmore, saw the muzzle, and thought I should, leash up my dogs. Which is wise, unless you're paying absolute attention and going, oh, there's a dog with a muzzle, let me give more space and move off into a different area of the park. Okay, so no big deal. In this particular consultation, it was a gentleman, again, playing ball with his dog. And I understand, you guys want to play ball with your dog at the park. I get it, but I recommend, if you're walking to leave the park, leash up your dog and just walk out, as opposed to throwing the ball and walking through the park, because you don't know if your dog's going to run into somebody as they're on their bike going to the bike path. There's plenty of strollers, rollerbladers, skateboarders, all that stuff going on. if your dog is dog reactive and you're throwing the ball and all of a sudden a skateboard comes by, or I'm sorry, not dog reactive, but like, you know, skateboard reactive, whatever, and they come by and now your dog's 40 feet away from you, and then that distraction is there, and then they start charging that person. Like, you know, we do want to think about other people at the park. I'm perfectly cool with like camping out, finding a section of the park that's away from everybody, and you're playing fetch with your dog. It's very clear you staked your ground. It's yours within that moment. But once we start moving and throwing the ball, that's where things get a little bit more complicated, because you do want to account for other people at the park. You don't know if there's going to be a small child that's scared of dogs, and your dog runs up to that child friendly, but that child, of course, is scared of dogs. So I want to be mindful of that. So you see me kind of curve around the client here, and the gentleman sees me, and when he sees me approaching, he looks and he just reads the situation, and he leashed up his dog. I didn't say to say cut the crap, right? So, but obviously dogs don't really see things like we do in that sense, so they wouldn't correct them for that. But in our world, we can't have them acting that way with friends or family coming over, right? But that's not the way he sees the world, or that's not the way they see the world. We got off-leash dogs. So, when it comes to the socialization aspect, which is building trust and relationship with people coming over, we have to have that precursor of shutting down the thing. Okay, so that was all good. Again, but we're being very proactive. We're not waiting for the dog to already be here. We're addressing it as soon as we see the situation. In this clip, this was actually during a pack walk. There was more to this, but we didn't catch it all on film. But there was a lady with her off-leash dog kind of off to the left, and we had to walk past her. But then she ended up moving with her dog and crossing to our right. And you see me place myself in front of everybody, and I wait, and everybody's paused. I'm reading the situation, I'm reading the dog. The dog really didn't show any interest in us and kept moving off to the side. So then I waved to the group like, okay, now we can move forward. But you still see me watching the dog, and I believe I even pivot back, and I'm like walking backwards and looking at the dog as well, just to double check. In case I see any forward motion, I can immediately move. What's that? Oh, gotcha. What we can do. This last clip, you won't see the dog, but it's off the camera, but you see me step off and I do the Caesar because it was an off-leash dog running straight towards me and the client. And then shortly after, you'll hear the owner say the dog's name and then the word foos, which means, heel. So this dog is actually off-leash trained. We've seen it a couple of times, and I actually have another clip. So in this particular case, again, I want to address the situation. The dog was coming with the intention of saying hi. The owner calls their dog back and then keeps running. Everything's good. Okay.
What was the last thing you said?
Runners, bikers?
Yeah, runners for sure. Bikers, not really.
How'd you say? Runners, bikers. But afterwards, you're going to see the dog in this last clip. It's a black German Shepherd, and he's running with his owner, and he's about maybe 4 feet away from him. Yeah. Good. Better. There we go. A little bit better. Good. Slow turn. Forward. Tap, 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 tap. Right there. Good. Now slow walk. Okay, so the owner's running with this dog off leash, and this is like the second or third time that we've seen this particular dog. So when it comes to off leash, and I saw the gentleman, he had his e-collar, he had his remote in his hand, so I know he has control over his dog. And that's my main thing with people, is that when they use or give their dog off-leash freedom, is that those that were formally trained with their dogs tend to have what I call off-leash etiquette, and they're more proactive about not allowing their dog just to go up to anybody. You know, they'll prevent their dog, they'll put boundaries and rules to things, but they're still utilizing that off-leash freedom. But what really separates an off-leash trained dog and an off-leash dog is that if I'm walking my dogs off-leash and they're running all over the place, is I know the moment I need them to return, they're gonna return like that. And if I put them in a tight heel, they're gonna be glued to my hip and in my immediate space, and not like kind of like meandering and like slowly wandering after the owner. Like it's, I call you, you get here, and then you stick to me until we walk past what we need to walk past, and then I'll release you, and then you're free again.
Make sure you get the dog nice and over. How you doing?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's impressive.
Thank you. Yep.
Free again. Most people, when they let their dogs go off leash, they go by the assumption of my dog's pretty good off leash because they won't run away. But that's not off leash trained. Off leash trained is anything that the dog can do on leash, heel, sit, stay, down, place, whatever they can do off leash, and they can do it with any kind of distraction going on, which is something that we really stress. So if my dogs are enjoying off leash freedom and I'm walking and I see, oh, here's a lady with her stroller and she's got a dog, and I can see that she's having some trouble controlling her dog, I call my dogs in, I put them in a tight heel, I walk off, give some space. I'm not worried about my dogs going because I have them again in that tight heel, and I'm giving that person space. I'm being respectful of their space, and I can see that. Or I might step off and have all my dogs sit. Tell the owner you can go ahead, but I'm giving space as opposed to just intruding upon and assuming that their dog would want to meet my dogs. Okay, you don't just walk into somebody's barbecue at the park or like birthday party and just show up thinking that they want you to join in on the fun, right? It's a private affair. It's the same thing for people's dogs. You know, if you see someone playing fetch with their dog, please don't assume that their dog will want to play fetch with your dog, because maybe their dog's a resource guarder and that's why they're sectioned off by themselves throwing the ball. Again, you know, if you're throwing the ball, like take a spot. I don't recommend walking and throwing the ball because something else could get your dog's attention, and next thing you know, they're running towards the street. Okay, so in this video, a little bit different. You see me again, very direct. No, put your dog on a leash, call your dog, now's not the time, stuff like that. So always feel free to speak up for your dog. Always better sooner rather than later, especially when it's already happening. Okay, I'm just doing Canine Perspective, and thank you for watching.